Alrighty, welcome to another episode of the Lockdown Podcast. So we have a lot to get to, and we always feel like we never have enough time. So we'll just kind of nip it in the butt. We'll get right to it. So obviously this week, obviously we have Clash, to talk about. Obviously that happened today, which is weird. Would be on a Sunday versus or be on a Sunday versus a Saturday, but that's kind of how the cookie crumbles when it's across the pond. So we had Raw kick off last week with Paul Heyman coming out and basically giving hype to a match that doesn't really need much hype. Basically ends up with a short promo video from Brock Lesnar, basically just doing Brock Lesnar things, we'll say. And so obviously that's followed up with Obafemi coming out and basically saying that he's just not going to beat the beast. He's going to kill the beast. And you believe him, right? I mean, he's Obafemi is not one to mess with. But yeah, so definitely there's a lot to that whole story that I feel like there's still time to tell. Between Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. Now, the first match of the night, we had Penta versus Javon Evans, which it just seems like a round robin tournament to who's going to face Penta this week. It seems to be narrowed down to about 4 or 5 people. Maybe we get Ilya Dragunov back at some point in time, so we can have at least someone new, I guess, kind of, sorta, in the title picture. But I guess we'll wait and see. But I mean, at least he's a fighting champion. We'll give him that much. Um,
Agree.
so the next thing we had was we had good old Joe Hendry and his wonderful musical rendition of one Fire
Fire
Logan
Logan.
Paul.
Yeah, Logan Paul. I seen an interview with somebody asked Logan Paul is that song starting to piss you off still? He goes, no, I'm starting to like it because they ain't gonna fire me. I signed a $1 billion a year contract with WWE. They ain't gonna fire me.
Yeah,
It's all right. You're sorry your ass is out hurt, you dumb fuck.
yeah.
Thank fucking God.
We did shed a tear for about half of a millisecond, but
Not me. I was dancing.
but dancing in the rain. But he obviously during his little bit obviously gets attacked by one Austin Theory, who's basically on a rampage at this point of pretty much anybody that's done anything to anybody in the vision. And so it's definitely going to be interesting, tomorrow, obviously on Monday Night Raw, to see what ramifications there is against Austin Theory. Probably nothing because it was a week ago and WWE just kind of brushes things under the rug. So I think he got it out of his system. Now, after that whole bit, obviously, we get a segment in back between Seth Rollins talking with the Street Profits and obviously Montez Ford not trusting him one bit, which is very justifiable. Angelo Dawkins seems a little bit more entertained of the idea of them grouping together against the Vision because you can't keep fighting the numbers. So yeah, I mean it's tough when you have so many groups and you have so many factions that it's like you seem to never get a fair fight. Yeah. And again, they're just bouncing around segments. It's a bit much sometimes in the back, but so we had Penta obviously after his match talking to Rey Mysterio, and as Rey Mysterio's talking to Adam Pearce, and it's just this whole shebang. And so we did get introduced that Rey Mysterio will be the new general manager of AAA, which I think is awesome. I think that's, a good job for him, obviously. I mean, it's like it feels like he'll never retire.
Which is great.
But I think it's definitely fitting for him to kind of run AAA. Obviously being one of the greatest luchadors of all time. So, good on him for, getting the job. So we get our next match of the night, which was Bayley and Lyra versus Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez. And in typical fashion, Judgment Day gets involved. Wow, no surprise. Liv Morgan gets ejected, I don't know, for the 10th time. I think she's had more injections in the last month than she has title defenses, because anything above 0 is better than that. So, but Bayley and Lyra obviously do get the dub on that, obviously with, essentially Liv Morgan actually being a distraction more than trying to be the distraction. And so I don't know what this really means. Like the women's tag team division, like when they have these matches that are just one tag team versus another, like they don't really present anything that says, oh yeah, this is gonna get them a future title shot or get them in the picture, and they just kind of have these matches. And I'm not against it, but I feel like if we're going to have quote unquote fighting champions in general, I think it's good that they at least start working towards, building towards championship matches. Just because, Brie Bella and Paige obviously need to see fresh competition. A lot of them obviously, weren't there when Paige was there. So obviously this is new competition. These are new matchups. And so I think it would obviously be good, obviously, to kind of, start finessing these matches. But I really feel like the women's tag team division needs new champions. I mean, and not even like a mean way. Like, I'm not like begrudging anything. I just think that like it was a good idea and it's fine, but like we need to move on because again, we want to see Paige in singles.
I think she's better off being single matches.
Yeah, and so we just want to see Paige by herself and do her own thing, and Brie Bella can go off into the sunset. I don't know. I just want to see changes, and it seems to be like we get these very, very vanilla, just shows in general, let alone like the title pictures and who's going to fight this person or when they're going to defend this title and stuff like that. And you're starting to see a lot of people online really chirping. When you look at the quality of matches that WWE puts on versus the quality of matches AEW puts on. And you kind of got to give AEW the nod because we used to always think that like, oh, it was just too gruesome and it was too much for the younger audience and all that. But I feel like it's become like they've raised the bar up here, and they're going to continue to raise the bar with these matches, and people love it. People eat that up, and then it's like you flip over to WWE, and it's just it's a lull. It's mid. So I mean, like, what do you guys think in regards to just like? I mean, I've never really watched AEW, so I don't have much to chime other than just seeing clips and stuff like that. But like, if you guys have like watched at least any of AEW, like what is if you look at the matches in WWE currently versus what's on AEW, like where does like those level out like as far as quality of matches?
I think they're two different products, so you have to look at it from that point of view. AEW is really wrestling focused and having solid matches. but also the long-term stories are generally reserved for title holders. So if you're not a title holder, it's kind of what it's been referred to as week to week booking, meaning every week there's a new matchup. So there's that, that difference between WWE. Also, I think one is a little bit more sports driven and one is more entertainment driven. So WWE has always been about the entertainment, about the drama, about the storylines. And AEW has definitely been something not driven so much by sports entertainment historically, even though
Agree.
obviously, you know, there is that. So it's just a different type of programming. Is AEW like perfect? No, not at
No.
all. But I think that over the last year, there's been really an improvement on the product overall, where you can see like they had some problem areas, keeping people interested, keeping the flows of the night going. Some matches didn't make sense. Some, outcomes were just like that was a waste of time. And now, for whatever reason, there's been an improvement in the care of the matches, the quality that they're trying to do. Like everybody's trying to elevate their game. It really, it's two different products.
Yeah,
I think, yeah,
I was to say I agree with that. And plus, with WWE and all elite wrestling, the only things, two different things that's different with both products and both companies. WWE is more PG, leading towards the children side, and AEW is more towards us adults, and with the language and plus more blood, and they have once in a while to have men versus women matches, and the AEW pretty much tries to push the limit with their matches and their products, but AEW does somewhat copy some of the stuff WWE does, like with their entrances and the side plates for their belts now. But AEW has, me personally, a shitload of championships, and on top of it, they're each pretty much these championships they have are more being defended a lot more than what WWE defends their titles.
And so, do you think that week to week booking, honestly, it seems to be putting on better matches because of the title contention more weekly versus WWE that is spread out because they want to tell stories, and like sometimes the long term story booking works, sometimes it just flops, and I think just from kind of hearing what you guys saying in regards to kind of AEW is that it's I would rather like I don't want to watch drama. If I wanted to watch drama, I'd go watch Days of Our Lives. Okay, like and especially with this whatever they're doing in between Raw and SmackDown of not finishing shows with matches. And people are in like I mean people are starting to walk out at these end of these segments because they're like it's not that important. You're not going to surprise me with a contract signing. It's boring. It's repetitive, and it's just not all that exciting to end a show. It's like how are you going to end a show on just a very lull? Start the show off with a contract signing. Like get that shit out of the way, and let's put on a wrestling show because this is what we are. But again, they're like you guys said, they're more concerned about the entertainment versus the wrestling, and like, yeah, there's some stuff in WWE that's very entertaining, obviously, like Danhausen and stuff like that, but like, or R-Truth in general, but like, I want to see wrestling, and especially like with Raw being on Netflix, you guys don't have to worry about commercials. You guys just throw that shit in because you're just trying to pay off the debt of TKO by putting literally 12 minutes of ads every hour on top of probably 15 minutes of backstage segments. So we're getting about a half hour worth of if you're watching it live and you're just sitting at home, you're getting about a half hour of actual wrestling out of every hour.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to see all this stupid backstage segment bullshit. You guys have got social media for that. Go start a feud on social media and on X or TikTok. Go do that shit. But when I go to a show, or if I'm going to watch a show, I want to watch wrestling. And it's to the point. I mean, I don't think I will be a full-blown committed AEW fan, but it definitely, for people that listen to this or any other podcast, I feel like it's not far-fetched. And, you're starting to see, the TKO execs are getting 200% raises, and the talent that's actually putting asses in seats is getting a pay cut. And I think that's disingenuous. I think that's unfair. I think you need to pay the people that produce the show. You can sit in your office and twiddle your freaking thumbs because you got money and you can just do whatever, and your underlings will do all the work for you, and then you collect the paycheck. Like, that's bullshit. Like, that's bullshit on the highest level, because these people put their bodies on the line, blood, sweat, and tears in that ring to do what they love.
365 days of the year.
Yeah, and then then the talent's getting fucked while the execs just get these massive raises. Like, I just think it's astronomical, and it's not even just a little bit. I mean, they're getting paid $250 million. Some of them.
I was gonna say that's pretty much the way it goes these days in life. Is you got those billionaires that they're gonna take all that money from us low class people like us. Like, I can't. Some people be like, "Oh, those wrestlers are not low class. They make a shitload of money. They're making less than half of those billionaires up in that fucking corporate office. They're just like every one of us.
I mean,
just making a little bit more.
Green shirt guy probably makes more money than they do.
Definitely."
But anywho, as we digress, as we do, because so LA Knight comes out obviously and chats things up, and he has a lot of valid points. Like, don't get it twisted, because this new bloodline is just the old bloodline with a softer tone.
Mm-hmm.
And LA Knight has a lot of valid points. Basically, like, what are you guys gonna do? Come out here and beat me up? Oh wow, that sounds like the same thing. You did that to Jacob Fott too. Wow, that sounds like the same old bloodline. Oh yeah, you guys are just Roman's lackeys. I'm sorry, but it's going right back to that. Why does Roman? Why do we need a bloodline? Why do we need this? Why can't we have the frickin' Usos do things as the Usi ones do, and have Roman do the things Roman does?
It's like, yeah, the bloodline went from being on SmackDown now to Raw.
Nothing changed.
Nope. Still the same old bloodline, but Roman being a babyface now. Same thing with, I think out of the bloodline that kind of is starting to somewhat get a little heel, that would be Jay, because of his flipping the streak and beating the shit out of anybody.
Yep, I think Jay's the hothead. Jimmy's windy. Yep, but I don't know. It doesn't. I think I don't need to see another 2020 bloodline. I need to see something new. If you're gonna redo this,
well,
I need to see something new.
Well, even the MFTs is the same formula.
Yeah,
it's just less dominant. But yeah, I just they're just recycling the same ideas, and just because it went away for a while doesn't mean I want it back.
Yeah.
Now speaking of you don't want it back, so after the whole backstage segment between Seth Rollins and the Street Profits, basically we get a match between Montez Ford and Seth Rollins, and a good match, straight up. And but obviously it ends in Seth Rollins wins, but obviously to the distraction of Austin Theory beating the piss out of Angelo Dawkins, and obviously leads us into the backstage segment with them checking on Angelo Dawkins, and obviously Montez agrees to basically form a alliance per se with Seth Rollins against the Judgment Day, just because now we have Austin Theory unhinged. And honestly, like, out of the career that Austin Theory has had on the main roster, this is the best Austin Theory we've ever seen.
Oh, I agree. I like this Austin Theory.
We don't need selfie taken. We don't need Vince McMahon's B-boy. We don't need any of that. And when we thought it was weird because that it was Austin Theory that was the mask character or whatever, but like now looking at it back and looking to where we're at now, dude, it hit it in freaking spades.
Oh, I love his new entrance music, his new entrance style. It fits him. Fits the character who he wants to be.
Yeah, and I think it definitely, sometimes it takes a lot of gimmicks for people in wrestling to find one that hits, and this is it, man. I think, I know we're all we're kind of all pessimistic when it comes to like, oh, we got to see this crap again. Oh, it's just Austin Theory, or it's just this person. But it's like, long term though, good job.
Yeah, I was gonna say, every time I hear his music, it just I know it's not, but a lot of fans will say it reminds them of Linkin Park, the way it sounds.
Yeah. So I'm just going to glaze over this. I'm going to say it happened, but I don't care that it happened. But Becky Lynch segment. All right, moving on. So Rey Mysterio, obviously they had that whole debacle with Rey Mysterio and Rusev and Ethan Page and all that stuff in back, leads us into a match between Rey Mysterio and Rusev, basically going for a Penta basically offering an Intercontinental Championship match. And I don't know if I'm for this. If Rey Mysterio was going to go be the general manager of AAA, I feel like he needs to have a certain degree of departure from the ring and move on and go be a general manager. And I think there's more for him to do to build his resume and his job as the general manager of AAA that he needs to concentrate on and slowly kind of move off from being a consistent performer. And obviously it's not like he's wrestling all the time, but he's wrestling quite a bit still. And so I think, like, if you're going to be general manager of the show, I feel like you kind of need to have a certain, I don't know how to put it, but just different role. And I think you kind of need to move into that role and, let the plethora of performers that were already here, the roster's deep, so we have plenty to go with. We don't need to kind of go back with Rey Mysterio. And obviously, like, it's more of Penta, like, having that, like, that nostalgic match, right? And obviously Penta's not that young, so it's not like it's nostalgic like that, but it was just kind of generation versus another generational talent. But I kind of want Rey Mysterio again, just to kind of move. But obviously we're gonna get a Rey Mysterio Penta match this week, whatever. But like I said, again, Rey, go do GM things. Then obviously after this match, obviously ends up with Adam Pearce basically screaming at Theory to go. Paul Heyman doing Paul Heyman things is like, oh, I'll take care of it. Yeah, I don't believe that. But I'd probably buy him a freaking ice cream cone.
Mm.
But and so once again on another show, we obviously get subjected to another just non-wrestling situation. Now, when we get to the contract signing between Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu, Lottie freaking da. Wow, another contract signing. All right, over to SmackDown. I don't even, it's just a contract signing, guys. It's not that exciting. It's the same shit recycled.
Woohoo!
Yeah, I mean, it's the same recycled shit they do every time. So for sake of time, I don't even want to dwell on it, much like the Becky Lynch segment. I just want to get to the things we want to talk about. So SmackDown kicks off with Jade Cargill along with her squad. We'll call them B-Fab and Michin, which are kind of like recycled toys, but that's her group. I don't even think they have a name. So I couldn't even, you know what? I wish someone would just on like X or something would go on and try to figure out a name for this group.
They probably most of them probably have been.
Jade and the Rejects. I don't know. I'm just gonna put that in the ether. But like in the we took a salary cut to be here. Jay and the salary cutters. But obviously Rhea ends up coming out and basically, does Rhea things, putting on literally she could use half the time of a promo that Jade does, and Rhea's promos are still better. Jade really needs to work on her promo skills. It's awful. It's again, like we said before, is that I think we talked about it before. I don't think we talked about it here, but like, that really Jade needs to sound more like she talks about being dominant and she's saying all these things, but her matches don't really, reflect that. But I mean, it's fixable. And
Yeah.
I know it's fixable, and I know Jade will put in the work to do it because, look where we were, a year ago talking shit about her. Well, at least I was.
Yeah.
and I recanted my negativity and I said she's gotten to where she's going. So I don't think that her having to fix something else isn't out of the realm of her being able to do so. But so we end up obviously with Charlotte and Alexa Bliss coming out and getting an impromptu match between Alexa and Jade. And man, Alexa Bliss did not hold back.
Oh, she did not hold back.
She
on
said
the
all the
mic, dude.
things that we would want to say. But yeah.
Yeah, she let her hear it, no matter how short she is out of all of them.
Dude, 5 feet of fury, man. Yeah. So, but obviously ends up with the match. Obviously, Alexa losing to Jade Cargill. Honestly, really no surprise. Now we get another backstage segment. Woo! Between Cody Rhodes and Sami Zayn. And if Sami does just not just go full blown heel like tomorrow, like I don't know what they're doing with him. They're basically making him the new Drew McIntyre, where he whines about everything and he bitches and moans and yada yada. And it's like I don't know what they're doing with Sami Zayn. I really have no freaking clue. Because it just it's like they needed someone to fill the void with all these nonsensical backstage segments. First, it was Karrion Kross and Scarlett, and then they got shit canned. And then they switched to Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, and then they got shit canned. So now we have Sami Zayn. Wow.
They're not
creative WWE.
They're not getting rid of Sami Zayn.
No, but it's just funny because, like I said, like they went from, Karrion Kross and Scarlett to kind of being that voice on their shoulder, and then they got gone, and then it was literally Aleister Black and Zelina Vega, and then now they're gone, and so now they need to continue that story with a different person. But I to a certain extent, though, I do kind of I agree with Sami Zayn because honestly, some of the stuff he said, it basically like you needed to learn a lesson. I kind of agree with that. I think that some of the stuff he said about like, I'm not getting involved. I think Sami Zayn's basically got into it with enough people that sometimes he's just like, yeah, I'm out.
Yeah. Not my
Like,
problem. Not my problem.
there's nothing I can do to help you, or it would
Mhm.
not, there'd be nothing purpose driven for me to help you out. Like this is your match. This is your problem, not mine. And yeah, I again don't blame him one bit. Now we get to a backstage segment again with Nick Aldis talking to Danhausen.
Yeah, that was a little wacky, even for
It
me.
but it was funny because like he was talking about where's he gonna do his experiments and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden he kind of walks away, and then here comes the Miz talking to him about all this stuff, and his Miz method, it's master, inspire, and zone in, which is literally an awful acronym, but
Yeah.
and you see like the best part about that segment wasn't even them talking, it was Danhausen and back like moving like computer equipment into like this room or whatever, and then they had periodic times out throughout the night that the lights went off or whatever else, and like it's just funny. I Danhausen cracks me up, and like he still put on a decent match the couple times he's had matches, but like, you know what? If his job is to make us laugh, he is master classing it right now, and I think we need those, those little stupid moments that just kind of make you chuckle. I mean, it's he's kind of the modern day Santino Morella, right? Like doesn't have to do a whole lot. He just kind of has weird segments and it makes you laugh. And it makes the world a better place. But so the Miz ended up having a match against Axiom. Obviously, Axiom being the hometown favorite, obviously wins. I think we said Miz had won a match like recently, but before that it was years, and so this is no different. And I don't even, did Miz win in a tag team or did he win a singles? Because like,
Let's see what that is.
because I think it was with Kit Wilson. I don't think it was.
I think it was.
I don't think he's won a singles match in probably 5 years, but he still has a job and a hot wife. But while you're looking that up, we had Damian Priest back there talking with R-Truth, and obviously R-Truth is banged up, and obviously he needed to go in against the MFTs, and R-Truth calls in a quote unquote favor, and here comes Royce Keys, and these two just do not like each other, and I really don't know why, but like it feels like Royce Keys is a friend to some and an enemy to all. Like some people are good with him and a lot of people just aren't. But obviously ends up tagging with Damian Priest against the MFTs, Tama Tonga and Tangaloa. And man. Yeah, so the MFTs actually win this match, and I don't know what this says in regards to them getting a tag team title opportunity, even though they only beat one half of the tag team. But I guess we'll just honestly find out more this Friday, and see what happens. Now, I don't. They said this was from a backstage segment like a week ago or something, but we get a match between Sami Zayn and Matt Cardona, and I think at this point Matt Cardona is just collecting a check and existing in the WWE ether because better to have some money than no money. But obviously,
They ain't doing much with him since he came back. He was doing a lot more on the Indies than he is in WWE.
Well, I mean, and I think he made his mark in the Indies, and so like I think regardless of him being in WWE, I think he's still the deathmatch god. So
Agree.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Fine. We've already talked about like, hey, be on the indies or be making, minimum at WWE.
yeah. So the next stuff we get to deal with was Trick Williams with Lil Yachty. Obviously talking their talk, and here comes Carmelo Hayes. Obviously, their match was a little bit sketch the last time they fought, so feels like he needs a fair shot. And then we obviously get Ricky Saints coming out, and I know Ricky Saints has only been on the main roster for maybe a month.
No, I think he's been on the main roster for at least 2 months. I think
Okay,
two or
well,
three, something like that.
Yeah, it's probably pushing that.
well,
Boy,
and
boy.
I don't know if he's a fit when it comes to current storylines on the main roster, unfortunately. And I don't know. There's a lot of moving parts, and there's a lot of singles competitors kind of molding around the title of Trick Williams. And I just feel like Ricky Saints should have not been called up. Not because he's not good, but I think that because we're having this John Cena Classic, which we have no freaking idea when it's going to be.
Happen,
We've got no information. It's just it got presented and dropped, which is fucking horrible. It's like, how are you going to present this and then just drop the ball on it? But anyways, I think Ricky Saints would have been one of those NXT people to face someone on the main roster. And obviously they want this John Cena Classic thing like every year, I guess. I don't know where they're going to friggin' fit it in. But I thought, I think it would have been a good call for him to maybe beat someone on the main roster and then get called up, because there's not a whole lot on the NXT roster right now that hasn't been called up. And then they want this John Cena Classic, but it's like they've just depleted all the top stars in NXT and brought them up.
You know what? I think there's still a couple of things that they can do with the roster in NXT. There's still something there. By the way, The Miz hasn't won anything this year, according to Cage Match. So, but I think Ricky has a place on the roster. It's just going to take time for him to get traction, because they're going to, they've already got Carmelo Hayes, and they've got Ilya Dragunov, and the mid card is really like, it's really saturated right now. So I could actually see Ricky moving from SmackDown to Raw. But this segment was crazy, because that slap.
Oh my god, that was a fucking pimp hand.
Oh my god, I
felt that.
I feel bad for Ricky having to take that spot, because I personally don't like it when wrestlers slap each other. I think it's like the level of disrespect is like, man, we're gonna have to really go outside and do this, bro. I just felt some kind of way about that. But the way that looked, and it was so telegraphed that you kind of knew something was coming, but it was just
Dude, it was as loud as a Gunther slap, but without the weight.
Oh yeah.
That is something I would have expected Ricky Saints character to have done to somebody, but not be done to him. I mean, that to me, that was just like, you just killed somebody's career with that slap. It's like,
yeah,
man, he should have put some baby powder behind that slap.
Yeah. So moving on, I know I don't want to crunch too much time, but so we obviously had then the next match we had the night was obviously Chelsea Green versus Nia Jax. Chelsea was pleading for Tiffany Stratton's help in the back. She's kind of like, no, go you do you do
You
you.
go do you, boo boo.
But so obviously Tiffany does end up helping Chelsea Green obviously win this match against Nia Jax. And the last thing we got to get freaking dealt with was Cody Gunther face to face. All right, moving on. So this is gonna be my new bet.
Yeah.
Whenever they do contract signing, we're gonna mention it and we're gonna move on.
Yeah.
That's
Now,
perfectly fine with me.
So I'm gonna bounce away from WWE just for a brief minute, but so we got to see finally get to see the mass versus mass match at AAA.
God,
The
that
show
was-
the show
that
in and
was
of itself
great.
was honestly amazing. I think lucha wrestling is 10 times better than freaking regular wrestling, but honestly, but like really the only match I kind of want to touch on honestly was the mask versus mask, and I thought like this match was brutal, okay, brutal, and
It was.
so obviously Chad Gable obviously loses and obviously does the whole mask takeoff, and honestly I thought it was very tastefully done. If you have actually seen the video, just kind of even just the aftermatch, just kind of Chad Gable talking, and obviously them, the announcer, translating, and I thought it was a great sign of respect, obviously from Chad Gable to, El Grande Americano, aka Ludwig Kaiser, but I thought it was a good way to kind of move on with it and kind of finally have a end to this two El Grande Americanos thing and move on because we all know Ludwig's 10,000 million times better of an El Grande Americano than Chad Gable ever was. And so it was nice to see kind of a conclusion. And so yeah, so I thought that was a good segment. I thought it was very tastefully done by AAA. So now I'm going to briefly bring back said "Are you in or are you out?" segment. Not necessarily in or you're out, but it just kind of pick your brain. So I know that from what obviously I've heard, obviously that CM Punk's off doing some kind of movie thing, but why is he advertised on built like on these social media posts and all these WWE things? It was not going to be there. Like, why did they advertise these people on these posters and on these social media posts if they're not going to be there? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know if it's just a ruse to get people to come and then get disappointed. So
Yeah. To me,
Most likely.
yeah, it's to set them up. It's like, oh, you think if you advertise someone and they're not there because you have that disclaimer card subject to change. It's similar, it's like it's a similar thing that the NBA does. You know, people like will go to like a certain team's games to see another team's superstar, and then that superstar doesn't play. It's like, you know, yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
And so next thing, what's the deal with Liv Morgan not defending her title? And she won it at WrestleMania over a month and a half ago, and they've done nothing with it. Now, I get there's storylines and there's a million things going on, but Stephanie Vaquera defended her title. But I don't understand how they do this. It's like I don't even care if they were defending it on a house show or something. Just do something with it. But it's like to have your top champions just be mouthpieces out there and managers and not performers. I don't get it.
As I say,
You
I think
know,
it's a waste of time putting a strap on somebody that's not going to defend it.
yeah, you know, and I mean, you even look at, I mean, honestly, Roman literally, he said what he was going to do and he's stuck by it. You know, he's showing up, he's defending his titles, he's, you know, he's not just, you know, disappearing for 6 months.
I was going to say, so far, he's out of saying he's going to be there every single week for the whole summer. He's only missed one Raw. That's it.
Yeah.
Just one Raw.
Yeah. So again, you know, I get there's a lot of titles and there's a lot going on, but like you have to have something for your top stories, especially like because of how they booked and how they presented, you know, with Liv Morgan and her stupid entrance music and her stupid song and her stupid voice, her stupid face. Like you do nothing with it.
Yeah.
You have this grandiose like whole things of happening all for her to win and then do not and then really not do really anything after winning it. It's like Jade 2.0 over here.
Mhm.
Except for obviously
She's better
Liv
on the
Morgan
mic.
has better goon squad than Jade Cargill does, but it's sadly parallel. I mean, on a, you know, say maybe here and here. I mean, if you're
I mean, yeah, it's
and it's like we should be coming on podcast and talking like about all the exciting things that are happening, but it's like almost like, you know, and I hear it on other podcasts too, and other, you know, YouTubers and everything else kind of reminiscing the same thing, you know, that it's like WWE is getting kind of vanilla, kind of mid, kind of boring, kind of predictable. And it's like, what do you, how many times can you see people on social media dogging your product and not trying to figure out a way to make it better besides asking Alexa or asking ChatGPT what you should do? But
you know,
yeah,
yeah, the product right now is not entertaining, and they've got to do something about that, because if they don't, people are gonna leave.
Yeah.
And
I agree.
Now, this, I mean, we kind of obviously kind of touched on it as far as the women's tag division seeming kind of like, oh, now we have these champions and now all of a sudden they're just dominant against these other tag teams that are more established. It's a little bit confusing, I guess I could say, but yeah. But now with the new injury of Logan Paul here, and so now they have pivoted to basically Austin Theory and Braun Breaker being the tag team champions. What does this mean for Braun Breaker? Because there was a whole lot going
Nothing.
on, you know, because
Yeah.
they had all this stuff, you know, with Braun and everything, and obviously Seth Rollins is still involved in this feud, so it's not like it doesn't pivot out too much. It's just like but like now Braun has to like deal with this whole tag team stuff versus him kind of
Doing
being more
solo.
of the secret weapon, more of the I'm going to come from, you know, somewhere in the arena to come spear someone or kind of do more individual stuff. I think he'll still do individual stuff. But you know, now he has to carry, you know, the tag team stuff as well. You know, does this put kind of a, not really a pause, but does this kind of change his character? I don't think it does. But it's just kind of an interesting pivot. You know, because it's like the vision seems to be just falling apart. I'm hoping, you know, and I was really hoping, you know, to see, you know, maybe a Bronson Reed return or something. but you know, that's still unanswered.
Yeah,
We haven't,
that
you know,
injury to Bronson Reed, I just did a quick search on it. 6 to 9 months, torn bicep. He's already posted a picture of him, shredding probably some weight.
Yeah,
I
dude looks
not,
like
yeah,
a fucking beast.
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
I
and
will say
It's gonna
from
make
someone,
yeah,
Braun Breaker look bad.
yeah, I
I
mean,
mean,
and from
we're
someone
only,
who's actually torn their
yeah,
bicep, it was a year and a half I was out. So,
I mean, but obviously you're not a preeminent
yeah,
athlete,
yeah,
Yeah.
right. I don't have
Yeah.
He's
trainers.
like,
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
yeah. No,
like,
some of those videos, dude. That dude's freaking he's getting like freaking just ripped.
yeah,
he's
It's
getting
it's a
chiseled.
yeah. I mean,
yeah,
dude,
I'm happy for him.
yeah,
he's
yeah.
yeah. No, I mean, and honestly, you know what, man? If that's how it goes, and he takes advantage of this time to
Oh
to
yeah.
shred some weight and shred,
He
Yep.
said he
good
went.
on him, man.
He did a workout thing once with Sheamus, and he's told Sheamus that's what his goal is: try to get in shape, lose some weight.
Yeah,
He built his own gym in his garage.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
and good on him. I mean, I think that a lot of wrestlers have really shredded some weight. I mean,
Yeah.
you had Gunther, aka Walter. I mean, they were basically like, if you want to come to the main roster, you got to just this is what we want, and he freaking did it, and he looks even more chiseled now.
No, he looks good
So
for his I
I mean,
for himself.
Jax lost a bunch of weight. I mean, and so I think it's not bad to say, hey, like you probably should kind of lose some weight.
Look,
And
shit! Look at
you know,
freaking Big Show. He's lost a lot of
oh,
weight. He got
oh
like a
yeah,
Yes.
freaking
Yeah.
6-pack
Yeah.
going.
oh yeah, and it's not a 6-pack of beer.
Oh,
Yeah.
I already got a pack of beer.
another beer.
So off to Clash in Italy. That obviously was T-minus about 6.5 hours ago. And I have to say, like I've said before, is that Roman saves these PLEs. But so the first match that they had was Cody versus Gunther, and this is going to be some fun controversy, but maybe it's just poetic justice. Because of if you go back and look at the Gunther and like Randy Orton situation,
Well,
where his shoulder was up,
the King of the
um,
Ring thing.
and so this match is getting ran back.
Oh,
Like,
definitely 100%.
and I say sooner rather than later because they need to like cook with this if they can.
Mhm.
And basically, and Gunther, the thing is, this isn't even like a situation where Gunther's going to be like, oh, I'm entitled to this, this, and this. He's like, no, my foot was under the rope. You've seen it. Like, it's clear as day. Like, this is not, he's bantering for what he's deserved. And that's another matchup. And I think, and I want Gunther to win. I think a lot of people, including myself, are very outspoken about, yep, we're over Cody. All right, let's move on. And it's not that we hate Cody by any stretch. It's just he's too nice. He's too nice of a champion. I like heel champions. And I mean, unless Cody goes heel, I guess, but get the old slick back mob boss Cody Rhodes, but yeah, so I mean I definitely think there's going to be conversation in regards to this Cody and Gunther situation, probably leading us into another match at the future PLE, which I believe is that Night of Champions, right?
It's Night of Champions. June. I think it was, if I remember correctly, I think it said June 27th.
Yeah. So I mean that gives more than ample time to kind of rebuild the matchup.
Mhm.
So the next match we had was Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill, obviously planked by BFAB and Michin, who obviously tried to interfere in the match. And it wasn't a bad match. It was a good match. I mean, I don't have too much really negative to say about it.
Besides one botch, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? It happens. You know, I think people mistake like botch for they're not skilled. Like
That
no,
and
it's
Yeah.
that and you had Jade trying to figure out when Rio's up against the ring. She was trying to figure out moving her hands like, what move am I gonna do next?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and it happens. They're human
Oh, yeah.
beings. Like it's a Broadway play, guys. You don't get take two. Okay.
Nope.
So, but no, I mean, it wasn't a bad match. Obviously, Charlotte does get in. Charlotte comes out and basically thwards off BFAB and Michin, and Rhea does retain. And I'm not mad about it at all. I think it
Me
was.
neither.
I think this was kind of an atypical matchup. Now, but again, I feel like this is room to grow for Jade Cargill. Like, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's see what we can do to improve everything and get back in that picture. And I think she's definitely, going to be champion again. I don't doubt that for a minute.
Yeah.
And so I mean, they kind of gave a dry run and kind of just seen what happened. And that's fine and that's okay, because it's not like they're not going to have more shows. They're not going to continue the business and continue the, moving along. So, it's rebuild time. But speaking of rebuilding, so the next match of the night we had was Brock Lesnar versus Obafemi, and about as much as a squash match could be, but somehow still making Obafemi not look awful. I mean, it was just 7 F5s, but it took 7 F5s to beat Obafemi.
7.
I wish
Yep,
there was a little
7.
bit. I wish there was a little bit more to this match than just kind of, just the strength test and the, hey, let's just come give F5s and all that. I feel like I get it. It's the feud. It's basically just two massive mountains of a men to like go in there and basically do big man moves, and I'm all for that, But like, I feel like there needs to be moderation. I feel like there needs to be like a little more like back and forth with the match, But obviously, like with how Obafemi dominated him the first time, and obviously then Brock, dominates him the second time around. So I feel like, we're going to get a third match. Like there's zero doubts that we're not going to get a third match. I don't know how far down the pipeline it'll go. I feel like this caliber of match is definitely meant for like SummerSlam, just because it's marquee. Like this would be a match that I would be perfectly fine being the main event and not having any title involvement. Just a straight up match. And maybe, they can give some room to breathe in this and maybe actually kind of put an actual match together versus, just going big move for big move and then poof, we're done in 5 minutes. Just because I feel like there's a story to tell.
Yeah.
And you have the upstart dominant guy and you have the veteran, and there I feel like there's a lot in between all that could make for great storytelling and great TV. So I hope they don't miss it. But again, it's all wait and see. That's literally the premise of wrestling and being a fan, is wait and see. So now the next match we had, which was before the main event, we had Becky Lynch versus Sol Ruca for the women's IC title. And I don't know if I don't think I fault Sol Ruca for kind of mishitting moves. I kind of fault the partner in the dance, because Sol Ruca is hitting her move how she's hit it 1,000 times in NXT. Same setup, same everything. And I just feel like some of these women that she's faced on the main roster, they've not fought someone that has that skill. And I think they're just not hitting the spot. Because just watching how Soul does her finisher, it's the same setup in NXT that she did, and she faced a lot of people, and it was flawless looking. It was good. I mean, even honestly, when she did it at the Royal Rumble, was spot on. But I think that she has a different move set and more agility than most. And so, like, because Becky's really she's fought the Baileys and the Charlotte Flairs and the Sasha Banks. Yeah, I said it. Her name. Woo. But and she's fought a lot of more technical wrestlers than agile wrestlers like Sol Ruka. And I definitely was happy to see Sol Ruka win this match and become the Women's Intercontinental Championship. Like, congratulations tenfold. Watched her literally from the beginning, and so I think it's it's good that these call-ups aren't just getting lost in the shuffle. But I also don't want them to win it. Like, it's cool winning a title quick, but when you lose that title, where do you fit in? And that's kind of the Julia effect. That's a lot of performers. That's a Carmelo Hayes. Like, he won it and he was doing some stuff and then kind of fizzled a little bit. But with all these releases, I hope they really get these people in compelling storylines, even if they're not title related. Like, get some good feuds going, because you have a lot of the call ups that had feuds in NXT, and they can call the main roster. You can call back that feud because it was already there. And so I really hope they don't mess things up with Sol Ruka. But it's WWE, guys. We don't set the bar too high. Now, the main event, which again made the show more extreme than the rest of it, Roman Reigns versus Jacob Fatu in Tribal Combat for the World Heavyweight Championship. And this match did not disappoint. The only thing I would say I was disappointed at is I thought maybe we'd see Zilla Fatu, just because recently a match that he basically won the match, but then left the title in the ring and walked out. And so that can only mean to me that maybe he's branching his way to WWE. I don't know. We have enough Samoans, but there's always room for more. Yeah. So I think that we'll definitely have to wait and see. Maybe we get him tomorrow. Maybe we get these, the Raw after PLEs. Maybe we get some surprises. I really hope we do. I think we're due for something out of the norm. But we shall wait. We shall see. And do you guys have anything else? Any thoughts? Any?
You know what? I didn't mind the paper PLE, the outcomes of the PLE. I think we've got stuff for Cody. We got new stuff for Jacob and the Bloodline. You know what? I do think Sol Ruka needs to change her finisher. She needs another finisher and let that Soul Snatcher be out of desperation. I gotta put you away now. But she needs a different finisher, and that Soul Snatcher needs to be.
Or does she need to do it differently?
I'm sorry, what?
Or does she need to perform it differently?
I think.
But we have enough cutters. That's the thing, is you got the OG cutter that Javon Evan does. You have the Cody cutter. So to have another person do another basically the same thing.
It doesn't have to be a cutter. She can use that Soul Snatcher. Like a Charlotte Flair or Rhea Ripley could get a Soul Snatcher, right? But she can have something other than a Soul Snatcher. Like, if she didn't do that for a while, and then all of a sudden we see her break it out, it means that this was a real challenge, and she had no other option. So I think along those lines, I want to, I would like for that Soul Snatcher to be something that's like reserved for upper echelon, next level performers, not for Becky Lynch to win a championship. Not to say that Becky Lynch is not deserving of a Soul Snatcher, but you know what? There's other moves that could have beaten Becky Lynch. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. So, we'll play the wait and see game as we do. We will put a proverbial pin in this. And yeah, so I mean, it's a massive wait and see game. I hope we really get some surprises. I hope we don't miss it with these new call ups. I hope at some point in time we get any kind of freaking information about the John Cena Classic, because you've wasted my time and every fan's time by presenting a new idea and then doing jack shit with it. So, you need to get your head out your ass, dude. Figure out something, but like, you can't present some monumental anything and then just have it drift into the ether. Not good. But we'll see what happens. But this is the Lockdown Podcast. Peace.